when I was a kid, I had this friend who lived down the street from me. Not even down the street, like it was like four houses down. And he used to tell me about how he hoped that one day they could move out of this house because either it was a former tenant or a former landlord, I don't remember, claimed that he was gonna one day come back and burn the house to the ground. And I kind of just, I didn't really put too much stock into it. Years later, my friend had already moved, but one day I saw this guy that was living there and he was packing up his car and putting all his belongings. And he's like, I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta get out of here. And it was like, okay, that is weird. And maybe like a week or so later, the house burnt to the ground. And I watched the fire. I woke up, and at this time, like I had moved across the street, so I could see the house across the street. Like I woke up, there was lights flashing. I looked out my window, and it's like all these fire trucks, and the house is burning down. And it's still an empty lot to this day. I don't think they ever built a new house on it, but that was just so weird. I was like, holy shit, my friend had told me someone was gonna burn this house to the ground. And I don't know if it ever got ruled arson or just like electrical fire or whatnot, but I firmly believe it was arson. Now, what does this have to do with this podcast? Not a goddamn thing. I honestly don't know why I actually know I do know why I thought about it because I was talking with my wife the other day about our old apartment that burned down, and she believes it was arson. I thought it was just an accident with a old lady who kind of fell asleep and dropped a lit cigarette, and I thought, oh, it just caught the house on fire, and thankfully we moved out of there, so we didn't have to worry. But my wife said, no, there was a lot of suspicious stuff going on with one of the guys that lived in one of the apartments in that house. So she was leaning towards arson. Freaky thing is, while there was a lot of damage to the other apartments, our apartment was mostly untouched by the fire. A lot of water damage, obviously, from the firefighters putting it out. But when we moved out, we kind of did like a whole cleansing thing and just kind of made like peace with the spirits that lived there. So was it that the spirits expected us to come back one day and they protected our apartment? That who knows? That is just kind of like some spooky shit, you know. But once again, that has absolutely nothing to do with this podcast that you are listening to called Velvet Al Watches Movies So You Don't Have to. The only podcast that features me, Velvet Al, watching movies so you don't have to. Now, you know, all those individual parts, you know, I do have another podcast that I don't really do anymore, but it still exists. So this is not the only podcast that features Velvet Al. This isn't the only podcast where someone watches a movie, and it's not the only podcast that has the intention of saving you from having to watch a movie. But this is the only podcast that combines all three elements. So this week, I'm watching My Life with Morrisey. Because if there's anything I can think of that I want to do less than listen to a Morrissey song, is to watch a movie about Morrissey. Okay, it's not a documentary, so it's at least got one step ahead of, you know, the quality of a Morrissey song. Which isn't fair. It's not fair to, like, be completely down on it. Like, the Smiths, I mean, they suck, but Johnny Marr is cool. He is a cool guitarist. He got some good tones. And London is a good song. I know everyone goes with How Soon Is Now, which is a decent song. It's got its charm. But London is a great fucking song. But I will add an extra disclaimer on that. The Smiths version of London is like, okay, the Anthrax cover of London is fucking awesome. And that is the one good thing Morrissey has done, is that he wrote a song that Anthrax later covered into a fucking awesome song. Anyhow, I don't even know what this movie's about. I am watching this not on Tubi. This is a rare time that the movie I'm watching is not on Tubi. It's on a channel called Midnight Pulp, which I don't know why I don't use this channel more, because this is like the fucking like just type of crazy grindhouse shit that this podcast should focus on. But I I can barely read it. The description is like just so like tiny, and it's against a backdrop of like pictures. So I don't know. I'm gonna assume it's something to do with someone who likes Morrissey, which is kind of like pretty low on the totem pole of people I respect. And don't get me wrong, they're not as bad as fucking horrible people. They're not horrible people. They're just kind of low on the level of good people. So they're about as low as you can get without becoming horrible. And so let me find out. Let me watch this movie and see about someone who has a life with Morrissey, which has to be like the worst kind of life ever. We start off in a woman's bedroom, Jackie, as we later learn her name, and she's sleeping in her bed, and we get just all these shots of her bedroom, which is just fucking like covered in pictures and posters of Morrissey. She's super obsessed. She's a super fan. She is a stan. As the I don't know. That's the current terminology. I don't know what exactly constitutes a stan. Is it just a fan that's gonna stalk people? Because I know it comes from the Eminem song, and that's basically what what Stan was just a stalker. My tea's gonna cold today, and I don't know why. Even got out of bed, and yeah, I'm just like all over the place. I don't fucking know. Like, I can't think of how the song goes right now, but it goes. I don't know. Now I'm distracted because there's an ad playing, and there was like this hot goth chick, and I don't know what that movie was because I kind of want to see it because she looks like Faruza Balk, the Craft era, and this has nothing to do with the movie, right? So back to the movie. She's like obviously like super obsessed with Morrissey. Even her pillow has a picture of Morrissey, and luckily we don't have Morrissey on the soundtrack because the filmmakers probably couldn't afford to pay for some Smith songs. But even more luckily, we don't have music that's trying to sound like the Smiths, which is the important part. I mean, this is kind of a bad song that's playing, but it's not Morrissey bad, at least. And so she wakes up, and it's time to go to work, and she works at some sort of tech company or something. Oh, before she goes to work, because this really fucking annoyed me, she takes a shower wearing a bathing suit. Come on. You don't have to show me the nudity. I will believe that there's nudity. You can, shoot her from the shoulders up, and I'll just assume like, oh yeah, she's naked, and she just wasn't willing to sign the contract waiver to be naked. Totally fine. I understand. I'm not gonna detract points for not showing me nudity, but imply it. Or maybe, we're just supposed to think, hey, this woman's got a couple of screws loose that she doesn't take her clothes off when she goes to a shower. Which, you don't need that to tell me she's got some screws loose. The fact that she's a Morrissey fan lets me know that she's got some screws loose. But then she gets dressed. And this time it's implied that she takes off her clothes to get dressed in work clothes. So if she's taking off her clothes, like if one thing if she just never liked to be naked whatsoever, but they did imply she took all her clothes off so that she can get dressed. So why? Or maybe the bathing suit needed to get washed, and she figured kill two birds with one stone and just take a bath, which is a good That's a good life hack. If you have to do laundry and you have to take a shower, do them at the same time. Cut down on water, cut down on time. So bravo, lady. So Jackie goes to work and she's all happy and chipper. But then her boss comes in and he needs 12 copies of this gigantic report that he wrote or something. And he needs it as soon as possible. And she's like, oh, I can get it done by tomorrow. Like, even though the meeting is like the end of the week and theoretically he could give her the whole week to get the. Although he didn't tell her she has to, just as quick as possible, and she's the one that offered that I could get it done by tomorrow. So it's your own fault, Jackie. And she takes the report and she drops it, and the papers just go flying because, he didn't staple it or put it, neatly. So the papers go flying, and he yells at her. But then his boss comes out, and his boss yells at him, and end scene. So Jackie's making copies. Making copies. Oh, man, fuck. Actually, it's a good thing that I can't remember how that sketch goes. That was just really kind of a dumb sketch that in fine Saturday Night Live tradition we got like 20 iterations of. Making copies. I could probably do a funnier making copy skit than Rob Schneider could. But so Jackie's making the copies when some other lady comes and she's got like other jobs for Jackie to do. Like, oh, you got to get this, and some bagels. Because she doesn't come out and say it, but she's like, bagels and cream cheese and whatever those people like. Veiled anti-Semitism. Or is it even veiled? Like, you just came out and, referred to Jewish people as those people. And you might say, I'm the racist for assuming that she's meaning the Jews, but come on. It's a stereotype that Jewish people like bagels, along with the, stereotype that Jewish people like money, which I don't get, because both of those things are things everyone should like. I mean, everyone likes money. Come on, really, show me someone who doesn't. And anyone who says they don't like bagels is fucking lying to you. Even if they're like, I don't eat carbs. Oh, whatever. There's probably a non-carb version of a bagel. Everyone fucking loves bagels. But so Jackie goes to do all these other tasks that have been given to her. Meanwhile, she leaves like the report on top of the photocopier. And this other lady comes in and she's like, oh, well, I gotta copy some stuff. And my file's only like 2 pages long. So let me move this gigantic file over here. And while the copies are going, I'm not going to pay attention to the folder, the giant fucking folder, and how papers just kind of fall from the vibrations of the copy machine. So, whoops. I'm going to guess Jackie then later is going to be missing some pages from the report she's photocopying. Uh-oh. And this fucking lady didn't notice that these papers fell out and at least, try to put the papers back in, like maybe not in full order, but at least you can put the papers back. What are you doing, lady? You're so fucking concentrated on your own files. And then Jackie's picking up the other files. I don't know. I've never really had an office job, so I don't know how office jobs work. At least not on the administrative side. So she's getting files from something else, and then Ed comes up behind her, who's kind of creepy, because I think he's autistic. Which is okay. I'm autistic as well, so we can smell our own. And so he comes off kind of creepy because the film's playing him as creepy, but he's just more socially awkward in my opinion. Doesn't understand personal space, so he should back up a little. And he's like, "You're pretty," and Jackie's like, "Don't say that. You're gonna get me in trouble," which is the kind of bullshit of office politics. Like, he's the one being creepy and calling you pretty, and you're the one that's gonna get in trouble just because you're a woman. Fucking A, man. Fuck the man. But he keeps trying to invite her to go out to a bar. He's like, I'll pay for everything. And she's like, oh, well, let's go to this one bar because it's not a date and you're paying for everything. You said I can bring other people and there's someone I need to meet. That person's probably her date. But I don't know, because Jackie obviously is obsessed with Morrisey. Meanwhile, the boss's boss, he has some other task for her. Which is the problem when you're good at your job, is then you get all the fucking tasks. So, if you're at your job, be mediocre. And now, oh fuck, I already forgot his name. Ed? I don't know. I'll call him Joel, because he kind of looks like this guy I know named Joel. Sure, Joel, who's apparently the mail clerk. He's, going around delivering the mail to all the cubicles, and he's very sad because, he loves Jackie, but she obviously wants nothing to do with him. And so he goes around and he's crying, and I guess no one really gives a fuck because he's just a mail clerk. And Jackie's at lunch, I guess. I'm not really sure. She's at a table with other women, and Jackie's all excited because they got free bagels. And how can you not get excited about free bagels? I love free bagels. I wish I had some bagels right now. I just might go out and get myself some bagels. Some yum yum, give me some bagels. But the other women are like, yeah, they cut our health insurance, but sure, free bagels. At which point it's like, well, yeah, like I'd rather have the health insurance over the bagels. But let's not disparage the bagels. It's like how there's the big movement of like, jobs should provide better perks than a free pizza party once in a while. And while yes, jobs should give real benefits, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater here and get rid of pizza parties. I want both. I want good benefits and a pizza party. In fact, I consider a pizza party a good benefit. If that was, I would totally go work for a company if that was like their benefits plan. Health insurance, 401k plan, pizza parties every month. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Actually, I did apply for a job once. It was like, I still don't even know what exactly they did. They were somehow involved in the beer industry, and one of the perks that they offered was you could have free beer during your lunch break. Which is like, oh wow. I don't know. I imagine they'd have to limit how much beer you can drink. Like, you got one free beer. But that is pretty fucking awesome. Like, you can drink a beer on the job. And that made me want to work there. And I did not get the job. So I went on to get another job where I drank at lunchtime, and they just fired me over it. No, not really. but that would be a story. But Jackie's all about like, yummy bagels. And then Joel comes by and he's like, hi, Jackie. And all the other girls make fun of Jackie because they're mean girls and like, ha ha, ha ha, the creepy guy has a crush on you. And Jackie's all distracted, and one of the girls sneaks up and takes a bite out of Jackie's bagel. Which is just some weird fucking trying to fuck with her head type shit there. Like, because then she's like, I don't remember taking a bite out of this bagel. You're messing with your head. Like, just weird. Like, why would you do that? You do not take a bite out of another person's bagel. That's papal law. Like, that was the Pope. One of the popes made that a law. And I know you're thinking like, bagels aren't really a Catholic thing, they're a Jewish thing. And I say, fuck you. bagels are not a Jewish food, they are an everyone food. And so, yes, the Pope can make decisions about bagels. And so Jackie goes back to her desk and puts the bagel away in her bagel drawer. She's just apparently collecting bagels, which isn't a bad idea. Like sometimes you just get in the mood for a bagel, and so it'd be nice to have some bagels right at your disposal. How about that? Like it's like a fanny pack, but for bagels. I think this is $1 million idea. Just whenever you want a bagel, reach into your fanny pack, and there's a bagel. And then one of the other women, who we haven't seen before, says, "Oh, there's some paint spilled, and you have to go clean it up." And I don't think it's really in Jackie's job description. I think it's just a matter of they ask her to do anything, and she'll do anything. Which, again, do not be too good at your job. And when people ask you to do things at your job, don't fucking do it. Unless it's like specifically part of your job description. And even then, only do it like 80% of the times. Helpful tips from Velvet Owl. And for some reason, trying to clean up these like paint-soaked rags makes Jackie want to throw up. But now it's quitting time, and off she goes. Now Ed, oh, by the way, his name is Ed. I was right on that. So I'm going back to calling him Ed. Ed takes Jackie to a bar. Not the bar she was expecting, so she's kind of upset about it. But, hey, free drinks, right? And there's a really bad stand-up comedian there, and they're all like, this is terrible. And then Ed just starts talking about his time in prison. Which I did not expect him to be a guy that spent some time in prison. And I don't think it was kind of like a, hard type criminal of, robbing a bank or something, or murdering a man, even in manslaughter self-defense. No, I'm guessing his time in prison has resulted in him having to introduce himself to every neighbor. You can take it from there. I'm not going to cast too many aspersions, but yeah, that's where I'm leaning with his prison time. And he seems actually kind of, wistful, thinking about his time in prison. And you know how sometimes, he'd go to sleep and he'd wake up next to a carton of cigarettes. And he was a little sore back there. But he's so innocent that he doesn't realize that he was being prison raped. Oh, the innocence of youth. Even though Ed looks like he's in his 40s. But, well, since he seems to be on the spectrum, I think he mentally might be like 8. And then just randomly Jackie starts thinking to herself that, hey, maybe Morrisey will show up. Just a very weird thing to think. Because you're just some kind of random town in America. Big enough to have like some sort of tech company working there, but you don't seem like a major metropolitan city. So I think the odds of Morrisey being in America, already you're starting off kind of low odds than your particular state. Now the odds are, divided by 50. Maybe even more if you're like a flyover state. Then going to your city, odds drop even lower. And then finally, this particular bar. The odds are astronomical at this point. But, so Ed walks her home, and she's trying to keep him from getting to her apartment. But he apparently is persistent enough and gets in there, and she makes him some tea. And says goodnight to him, and he kind of leaves. Like, he goes out of the apartment, but he keeps on talking And she's just kind of like, well, fuck you, Ed. I've lost all interest. I gave you tea. That's as much as you're getting out of me tonight. She goes to her bedroom. She goes to her Morrisey shrine. Just this weird, like, Morrisey puppet. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a handmade puppet or if she bought Morrisey puppet. Either way, I'm kind of disturbed. I don't know if I'm more disturbed by someone homemaking a Morrissey puppet or that there is a industry where there's enough demand that they make Morrissey puppets. So she starts praying to God that she wants to just meet Morrissey, that Morrissey just shows up at one of the bars she's hanging out at, because she's going to try several different bars, and which you're going to increase your luck if you just keep going to the same bar, or at least stay at one bar for the night. If you bar hop, say you're at bar A and then you go to bar B, and then while you're at bar B, Morrissey decides to go to bar A, then you're just going to feel stupid. So I imagine she's got. No, she doesn't seem to have the self awareness to feel stupid about praying to God that she meets Morrissey, because it's meant to be, because she will marry Morrissey. Which makes me question what kind of super fan she is. Because even on the astronomical stakes that you do meet Morrissey, I don't think Morrissey's gonna want to marry you on account of you being a woman and all. And on top of that, Morrissey hates sex. he's a celibate. And then also, if you are a Morrissey superfan, why would you want to marry him? That's the other part. Like, even Morrissey superfans, and I imagine even more so, know what an insufferable prick he is. So why would you want to marry Morrissey? Even if you're a super fan. So I have to question her super fan credentials, because A, she thinks Morrissey would marry her, and B, she wants to marry Morrissey. So Jackie goes all around town, visiting places that she thinks Morrissey might be, including a house that the map claims Morrissey lives at. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. The guy that's guarding the door, this must be a fancy house then, if it's got a guy guarding the door. Won't let her in. And then she goes to this record shop that Morrissey once bought a record at, like 3 years ago. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility that if he went to that record shop once and enjoyed his time there, he might show up again the next time he's in town. So she starts asking everyone, like, have you seen Morrissey? And one guy uses an excuse to feel her up. Which, not cool, dude. Not cool. Then this other guy says, like, oh yeah, I saw Morrissey at so-and-so place, and he was eating a hot dog. And she's like, I don't believe you, because it's Morrissey. He's not going to eat a hot dog. But she decides, just in case, she goes visit the spot that Morrissey supposedly was at. And there's a hot dog there. But it's a tofu dog. Oh, that means it could have been Morrissey. Because if it was a regular hot dog, then like, oh, no, it can't be Morrissey because he's not going to eat meat. But it's a tofu dog. And so she takes the tofu dog and starts eating it to be one with Morrissey or something. But I guess it's kind of generous to say it's eating it. She's just full on filleting it. She's like she's sucking it. She's sucking the tofu dog and then slapping it across her face. I know she's picturing that it's the Maz's cock. Is that how you say it? The Maz? Fuck Morrissey. He doesn't deserve a nickname. But I'm going to stick with it because I checked on Wikipedia and he hates being called Maz. So fuck you, Morrissey. I was going to once write a song called Fuck You, Morrissey. and the entire song would just be "Fuck you, Morrissey," over and over, because that is the extent of what Morrissey deserves from my songwriting skills. But so she's sucking on a tofu dog, and someone stops near her, and in a really bad British accent, like, "I think this is my tofu dog." And then Jackie starts throwing up because, seriously, ew, she ate a tofu dog. The fuck? If you're eating a hot dog, you already made the decision to not ingest anything remotely healthy into your body. So you fucking go full on with it and you eat the worst possible byproduct processed meat. You don't eat a tofu dog. But clearly this guy is supposed to be Morrissey or someone pretending to be Morrissey. It's a Morrissey impersonator. That's what I'm leaning to. Because A, he doesn't sound anything like Morrissey. But B, because I think they're fucking ripping off like a screenplay I once wrote. Which vaguely. Okay, it has almost nothing to do with this. But I once wrote a screenplay about this guy who was obsessed with Fairuza Balk. And he made it his life mission to one day travel out to LA, find Fairuza Balk, and marry her. So I don't know. Actually, this script, they fucking ripped me off a lot. They stole the basic premise and just changed Fairuza Balk into Morrissey, which is a fucking downgrade. But anyhow, in my script, the guy does meet Fairuza Balk, or so he thinks, and they have passionate love, and then it turns out it's not really Fairuza Balk. Actually, I had two endings. One, it was Fairuza Balk, and two, it wasn't. And it was actually going to be a trans woman who thought she was for, or not that she thought she was Fairuza Balk, but was pretending to be Fairuza Balk. And the guy didn't realize that, not actually a assigned female at birth person. So, but I had two endings, and it was going to kind of depend on if I could actually get Fairuza Balk to be in the film. So that's what I think is going on with it. They fucking stole my script, and they did the same thing of, well, if we can actually get him for the film, it'll be him. If not, it's an impersonator. But I don't know, maybe it's supposed to actually be the real Morrissey. So the Morrissey impersonator drives her home, and she's getting out of the car, and she's like, "Oh shit, this is my chance, because I believe this is the real Morrissey, and I'm gonna blow it. What am I gonna do?" And so she turns around and she flashes her boobs, and he then drives off hurriedly. So now I think maybe it is the real Morrissey, because I do feel that if Morrissey were to see an actual pair of tits, it would scare the fucking bejesus out of him, and he'd run away. So I'm gonna lean towards this might be the real Morrissey. And while the boobs come in too late to fully pass the Velvet Owl test, I accept it. You show me boobs, it doesn't matter where in the film it comes. I'm happy to see boobs. And so she goes in because she's already like just completely blown it. And she starts taking off her shirt, but she feels like the Morrissey posters are staring at her and someone's whistling. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe Ed's like looking through the window and creeping on her. But no, I think she's just hearing voices in her head, and she apologizes to the Morrissey poster for not going further along. But it's their first date, and she doesn't want to seem easy, and she doesn't want to be a hussy. But then she pulls the covers over her head, and she tells Morrissey like, next time he can do whatever he wants. And then she pulls out a vibrator and just goes to town pretending it's Morrissey. And the next day, Jackie's all like super happy and dancing because in her mind she really did fuck Morrisey. And she can't wait to tell her friend at work, like, oh, I fucked Morrisey last night. Maybe, kind of, I think. I don't quite remember. And her friend's like, isn't Morrisey gay? And they're like, no, you're gay. Morrisey wanted to bang me. And her friend says, well, maybe he thought you were a boy. Which, I exactly. Morrisey thought she was a boy. Probably not, because her bosom's quite out there. So I think even before she flashed him, he would have known that she's a woman. But I mean, all for naught, because Morrisey or the Morrisey impersonator did not fuck her, because he ran off upon seeing boobs, because he is scared of boobs. And so Jackie gets mad and jumps on her desk at work and tells the entire company, or at least everyone who's within earshot, that she's fucking Morrisey and she loves it and she's gonna fuck him again. And her, well, not her boss, at least not the boss from earlier, but probably someone from HR. It's like, you can't go around be telling people that you're fucking other people. You gotta keep your sex life quiet. And I'm sure Ed agrees, because we see Ed and his eyes are just full of anger, like, how dare someone else fuck Jackie? I don't care if it's Morrisey. And then the HR girl says, like, oh, I always thought Morrisey was gay. And this just makes Jackie crazy again, like, no! Morrisey's not gay! He totally wants to poo-tang. But not all poo-tang, just my poo-tang. And then later, Jackie's talking to her work friend, and they've made up, they've apologized, and Jackie's just going on about her dreams that she's going to get married with Morrisey, and her friend is going to catch the bouquet and will be next in line to get married. I mean, if you believe that sort of superstition bullshit. So she has a vision where Morrisey comes to her in the work break room and tells her to meet him at the restaurant place that they'd met earlier. So she's all excited and gets all dressed all slutty up. Sluttied up? What? She wears a miniskirt and some high heels, and she waits by the dumpster. So of course, like a comedy of errors, Scott walks by and thinks she's a prostitute, and he talks to her, and she doesn't realize at first that that's what he thinks, because he's like, oh, you waiting for a date? And she's like, yeah, I am. How did you know? Because he's thinking like, oh, she's a prostitute, so how much for a blowjob? And she's like, hey, get away from me, you creep pervert. Because she's waiting for Morrisey, and then she falls asleep, and this gang of schoolgirls shows up. It's a very weird gang. Like, the head of the gang, like, she seems kind of cool. She's got that cool, tough schoolgirl look to her. But the other three, like, just are super nerdy. One of them is in a wheelchair. Like, it's just, like, weird. And the head schoolgirl basically wants to rape Jackie and tries. And Jackie fights back, and then the other schoolgirls take markers, and I don't know. I have no fucking clue what they do. But seems like something that she did not like and did not want to happen. Now Jackie's back home after being assaulted by those mean schoolgirls, and she's crying to her Morrisey posters because the schoolgirls told her that if Morrisey really cared about her, he wouldn't treat her like this. And I don't think they exactly said that in words, but I do think their actions did imply that, you know, if Morrisey truly did care about her, he wouldn't have put her in a situation where she could get assaulted by a weird gang of schoolgirls. So she does have a point there, Morrisey. Granted, she's batshit insane, and Morrisey doesn't know who she is, so unfortunately, I do have to defend Morrisey in that it's not his fault. But just on this one thing, just on this one issue, is the only issue I will not blame Morrisey for. Fuck it, I'll blame him. Fuck you, Morrisey. And she tells the Morrisey posters that, she doesn't want someone who's just out for a quick fuck. She wants a real relationship. And if he can't handle that, he can't have her. And she goes to sleep. But then the vibrator comes out that she believes is Morrisey. And so she's going to town on herself. I imagine we don't actually see it, but if she turned the vibrator on, I'm pretty sure she's going to town on herself. And she believes that it's Morrisey, and that Morrisey has asked her to marry him, and she says yes. Why? Because she's batshit insane. Because even if the real Morrisey asked you to marry him, you have to be batshit insane to say yes. And so the next morning, she is just angry and pissed off. Which, again, if you commit your life to spending it with Morrisey, I too would get pissed off. I'd be like, what the fuck did I agree to? Even though it's not really Morrisey and it's all in my head. Even if it's all in my head, I would be pissed off at myself for saying yes to imaginary Morrisey's imaginary marriage proposal. But what? Oh yeah, so she goes to the building manager and she's like, I'm moving out by the end of the month. And he's like, you can't. You got to give 30 days notice. Is that true? Do you have to? I guess if you're on a lease, maybe. Because I would assume, like, you could just kind of bail at any time. Like, fuck you, I'm not living here anymore. And as long as my stuff is completely out and you have your key back, I don't have to pay next month's rent. I believe that's how it works. I don't know. I've lucked out in having cool landlords. So, but then she gets to work and she is like just seriously like on a rampage, really pissed off. You'd think she would be happy. She's gonna marry Morrisey. Maybe the reality is hitting her. That even this fucking, like, insane Morrisey fan who believes she's getting married to Morrisey, even she is like, this is a bad idea. I don't know. She's just pissed off and pushing everyone. And poor Ed, he doesn't know what to do. And she yells at him and says, don't stare me in the eye. And this just kind of breaks Ed. And he starts going into like a pantomime of being trapped in a box. I just don't know why he's just gone crazy with that. And everyone else who's asked her to do all sorts of shit at work come and ask her, like, why haven't you done the shit we asked you to do? Which goes back to my point that you never ever show that you're a really good worker. If she had just been slacking off and doing the bare minimum to skate by, her bosses would not be asking her to do more. Which, really, you should just do the bare minimum. It's like bullshit that they want you to do more. Like, you want me to do more, you fucking pay me more. It's such a weird thing with our, like, society, isn't it? Like, it's called quiet quitting if you only do the minimum of what you're supposed to do. So, AKA, if you do your job that you're paid for and don't go above and beyond, you have quiet quit. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? No, I didn't quit. I'm doing my job and I'm getting paid and I'm doing the job that I am being paid to do. Like, what is, like, our culture, like, become that is, like, an act of defiance? So the HR manager tells everyone to shut up and pulls Jackie into her office. And Jackie's like, I don't know what's going on. Morrisey is just asking so much of me. Aren't you asking too much out of Morrisey? He just wants to fuck you in your head. I don't mean he wants to fuck you in the head. Uh, in your head, he wants to fuck you. And you're the one that wanted more out of the relationship, so you're asking too much out of imaginary Morrisey. Sorry, lady. That's just how it is. And the HR manager, who I'm sure realizes Jackie's just fucking insane, those are like, just take the rest of the day off. And Jackie's like, okay, can I have a bagel first? Yeah, whatever, Jackie. If it makes you happy. And so Jackie goes to make a bagel, and or many bagels. She's got a lot of bagels, which, you know, if I was at a job where I had free bagels, you can't expect me to only eat one free bagel. See, you got to bring enough bagels to give everyone else one and me like 10. That's how it is. You don't fucking tease me with free bagels and then limit me to one bagel. I'm just saying. And so the mean girls come by and they're like, hundreds of beavers? Sorry, there's a commercial for something called Hundreds of Beavers. Um yeah, it's interesting. And so the mean girls are making fun of her, and she's like, I'm getting married to Morrisey. And they're like, Morrisey? From the fucking 80s? Oh my god, he's old and washed up and gay. And probably thinks you're a boy. Which, I don't know. Why is everyone being so mean to her on that aspect? She's a lovely woman, and she's got a nice set of tits. Like, if she was tomboyish and flat chested, then I could see like the jokes about like, oh, he thinks you're a boy. She's voluptuous. I mean, not like overly voluptuous, but yeah, you can clearly see that she's got boobs. And so you're gonna assume she's a woman. And trans women are real women, in my opinion. So even if she was a trans woman, Morrisey would not go for that because he doesn't like women. He doesn't like anyone. What? Yeah, he's gay. But his whole thing was he's asexual. So, shouldn't. Well, I guess that wouldn't stop him from getting married then. Like, because it's not about sex. And once in marriage, the sex is gone anyhow. So really, the most unrealistic part of her fantasy is that he's having sex with her. Whichever way you cut it. But yeah, it really. Stop with the she looks like a boy jokes. She does not look anything like a boy. And they say, like, you're just making this all up to make Ed jealous. And she's like, well, I'll show you. And she goes and breaks up with Ed. Like they were actually a couple? I thought that was just all in his head, the way the relationship with Morrisey is in her head. Like, yeah, she didn't seem to like really have any interest and felt like really creeped out by him. So maybe it's just all for show to tell the mean girls, hey, I'm not dating Ed. Which breaks Ed's heart. Just fucking breaks him. Like, first he starts sniffing markers. Which granted, we all do. That's not necessarily that something bad has happened or that your brain is broken. It just means you like the smell of markers. It's intoxicating. But then he starts punching himself because he's just so upset that Jackie has broken up with him, even though I'm not fully sure they ever were dating. Now, Jackie goes shopping for wedding dresses and wedding flowers and all sorts of stuff for her wedding. And the lady at the floral shop is like, oh, who are you marrying? Like, I'm marrying Morrisey. And she's like, wow, the singer? Wait, isn't he? And this sets off Jackie because she's sick of people saying, like, isn't he gay? Although the floral shop lady was just trying to ask, isn't he British? Which, do you know much about Morrisey if you're not sure if he's British? Like, isn't that, like, all people know about Morrisey? Like, the non-Morrisey super fans? They know, like, oh, he's British and he's a prick. But since Jackie thought, like, it was about him being gay, she just goes insane and shoves a used condom in the girl's face. Like, Morrisey was in this. If he was gay, would I be walking around with this? Which, yeah, that's just kind of scary and freaky if someone just shoved a used condom in my face. I don't even know if it's used. It's unrolled, but, you know, I don't know if anyone actually used it. As a matter of fact, I hope it's not used. I hope it's just unrolled. Because then otherwise, like, where did she get it? Oh, I mean, she might have put it on her vibrator. Which then, I mean, it's still creepy to be walking around with it, but it's not as disgusting as an actual used condom. But seeing as she hasn't, like, fucked anyone, any real human, that's why I hope it's not a used condom, because then that means she got it from somewhere. And I don't know, maybe she's just using it to plant the DNA, like in The Crush when Alicia Silverstone took a used condom from Carrie Elwes and used it to make it seem like that he fucked her and shot his spunk in her. Which is not possible! According to my 7th grade sex ed teacher, is that semen will not last that long outside of the body for someone to... I don't know. I mean, I don't fully know how DNA works when it comes to semen. Actually, you could, because Monica Lewinsky's dress showed that there was some Bill Clinton DNA on it. So you were wrong, 7th grade sex ed teacher. Like, semen might not last outside of the condom. It might die, but it will contain the DNA. And you can insert that DNA into your vagina and make pretend that someone fucked you. Also seems like it would be a lot of work. So I hope people don't actually do that to make false claims and shit like that. So anyhow, Jack is just all insane, and she goes home and she's got a blow-up doll that she pasted Morrisey's face on, and she fucks the doll. She's on top, of course, because I think that's the only way a woman can fuck the blow-up doll, right? I guess she could put the doll on top of her, but that seems like that would be even more work. So, I don't know. Ladies out there who've had sex with a blow-up doll, let me know. Is it possible to... Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, but you still would have to do most of the work. Now I'm, like, just curious on this. This is so much more fascinating than this movie. Because, okay, they do have, like, the suction cup dildos that you, like, put on the wall, and you kind of just fuck yourself with it. But I think mostly those, like, you have to do doggy style. Yeah, because what I mean, as far as videos I've seen, I think I've only see women fuck those suction dildos doggy style, and I'm trying to picture, like, okay, if you do missionary, I mean, and of course, like, obviously cowgirl position, yeah. But can you do reverse cowgirl on the suction dildo? Because technically, I mean, I guess if the dildo does have balls, you would have the position that, okay, it is reverse cowgirl. But otherwise, is there really, like, a direction you face that makes it reverse cowgirl? Or is it all just cowgirl? I will ask Morrisey. Morrisey will know about this, right? Of course he will. But yeah, you can do the suction dildo. But if you have a blow up doll, with a blow up penis. It just seems like to have him on top or even have him doggy is like a lot more work than it's really worth. So I think if you're fucking a blow up doll, it's got to be on top. It just seems to make the most sense. Anyhow, Jackie gets mad for reasons. Oh, because Morrisey's just laying there. Like, yeah, how dare him not put any effort in for being a blow up doll. And she's mad because apparently, like, he's going around and sleeping with other people because she won't have sex with him. Because, wait, what? I am truly, like, unsure of, like, Jackie's mental processes here. Like, she is constantly in her mind fucking him while at the same time not fucking him. This is so bizarre. And so she lists or reads a list of rules of things he can't do before they get married. And I'm like, what is there? Like, is it just like anal and pegging and like golden showers? Is that what's off limits? Because you're already like fucking him in your mind. But no, it's even more bizarre than that. It's stuff like you can't use the bathroom at the mall, which actually is probably just a good rule for life. It shouldn't be just before marriage. Like, just don't use the bathroom at the mall. And so she gets mad at him and attaches like her new shower head. And oh yeah, she's using the shower head for that purpose. Which in her mind is Morrisey coming into the shower to fuck her. And yeah, she enjoys it. She's a dirty little girl in her mind that she simultaneously has sex with him and doesn't have sex with him. I don't know what to make of this anymore. The next day, Jackie's in a good mood because I'm guessing it's her wedding day because she is wearing a wedding dress. And she's super happy when she gets into work and all smiles until someone gives her a funny look. And because she's totally mental, she just gets crazy and is angry suddenly and jumps up to tell everyone that today is her wedding day to Morrisey. So I was right. It was her wedding day. And then she walks around and starts slapping people. And her bosses are like, Jackie, you still haven't done any of the work that you were supposed to do. And she's basically like, fuck off, it's my wedding day. And no one knows what to do, how they can stop her, until the mean girls show up. And they're, like, mean to her. And like, we don't care that you're crazy and yelling and slapping everyone. We're gonna make fun of you and your dress. And blah, blah, and something. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Because I've reached the point in most of these movies where I am just clock watching. And this movie will be over soon. And so will this podcast. Now it's time for the beautiful wedding. And a drunken Irish guy is marrying them. And, he asks her if she wants to marry Morrisey. And she's like, of course. And the priest then asks Morrisey, oh yes, it's the fake Morrisey impersonator from earlier. Though I think he's supposed to be Morrisey, all in her head, like, because it's all fantasy. Because, yes, this was all a dream sequence, this wedding with the drunken Irish priest. It didn't really happen, just in her head. And in reality, she's still at the office, and the mean girls are making fun of her, and they wrote slut all over her dress, which just pisses her off, so she grabs a pot of coffee, throws it in their faces, which is, like, the most painful thing, apparently. Well, I guess. I don't know. If it was thrown right into my eyes, then yeah, I guess it is painful. I mean, coffee can be quite fucking hot. So, She laughs. Jackie goes back to her cubicle and eats a bagel. She loves those bagels. And again, I don't blame her. Bagels are fucking delicious. But security comes, and, it's time to kick her out of there because she's crazy. But since she's crazy, she goes and runs all around the building while the security guard chases her, making sure to stop to eat bagels all the way. Not eat the entire bagel. She just takes bites of the bagels as she finds them. Because, she is still on the run from the security guard, so she can't sit there and eat an entire bagel in one sitting. It would kind of get her caught. Anyhow, she does get caught, but it isn't the security guard. It's her boss, who's mad because she never made the copies of the report. And he picks her up and walks outside and throws her on the street. Except it's very obviously he's carrying a blow-up doll. Because they couldn't edit this well to just kind of make it seem like he was throwing her. No, they just went with the blow-up doll. And she's on the street, and then a bicyclist comes and runs her over. And once again, because lack of special effects and know-how of good editing, they used a blow-up doll to represent her getting run over by a bicycle. Because, I don't know, is it supposed to have killed her? It's just a bicycle. Not a motorcycle or anything. A bicycle. Which I imagine, it might hurt. No, wait! Wouldn't, the bicyclist just fucking, get knocked off his bike and fall if he hit a person? I don't think it's really possible to run over. I don't even know if you can run over the blow-up doll on a bicycle. I have to question the realism of this film. Now it's 3 weeks later, and we see Ed pushing a cart outside, and he walks by a cardboard box, and he opens up, there's a door made into the cardboard box, and there's Jackie, and she's gone full feral. She's like a fucking raccoon, hissing at him, and he gives her a bagel, because he still loves her. Even though she's now a raccoon, he loves her, and he wants to feed her, make sure she's got her favorite food, the bagel, and then he leaves and closes the door, and then a police officer on a motorcycle comes by, picks up the box, and puts it on the back of his motorcycle and drives off into the sunset for some reason. I'm not sure why he has the box, what he was planning to, but suddenly Jackie reaches out behind him because the box is behind him, and he didn't bother to secure things, or I don't know, does he know that there was a person there? And she starts choking him out, and he does a fucking wheelie across the sky, lands in the water, and there's an atomic bomb explosion, which was actually kind of fucking cool because it was just so insane and out of nowhere. What the fuck just happened? But I think this was also just all in her head because now she's in a mental institution, and they tuck her in to go to sleep at night, but she pulls out a picture to wish the pitcher good night and tell the pitcher that she loves him. And it's not a picture of Morrisey. It's a picture of Steve Buscemi. Now, there's a guy worth obsessing over and fantasizing about marrying him. He is awesome. It's fucking Steve Buscemi. Again, I don't need to tell you how awesome he is. You know how awesome he is. He is just awesome. And that's the end of the movie. And I tried to see if there was an end credits scene, but for whatever reason, it seems with 30 seconds left in the credits, it just kind of just jumped to the next movie. I hate autoplay. Don't fucking assume I want to go straight to the next movie that I didn't even choose. You just chose for me. No, end credit scenes are a thing now. I understand back maybe in the 90s where it was just very rare. You'd had Ferris Bueller, and for some reason the Super Mario Brothers movie had the after credit scene. But now it's a big thing. And I wanted to see if there was one. Not that I care all that much if there was one, but anyhow, one interesting thing I did see in the credits. This was filmed in Nickelodeon Studios. Uh, so I did check Wikipedia real quick. Um, just curious to see if like anyone here did anything else. And apparently the director is a guy that worked on SpongeBob. He was like an animation director for SpongeBob. And I guess he cashed in his cachet as a SpongeBob director to make this movie on the Nickelodeon Studios. Oh, that must have been like what the office building was, probably just actually the Nickelodeon Animation Studios. Um, but yeah, as far as I know, nothing untowards happened on the animation studio side of things. We recently learned that the live action Nickelodeon Studios, not such a good place, especially for child actors. Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, watch the documentary Quiet on the Set. It is kind of heartbreaking, and just how fucked up Nickelodeon Studios was, and Dan Schneider, his like empire there, like just fucking insane. Um, so yeah, I recommend watching that over watching My Life with Morrisey. But you know what? I will give this film at least a little credit because there are moments of like just inspired lunacy that you're just like, what the fuck? Which I love. I love movies that make me go, what the fuck? As in, like, someone actually came up with this idea and filmed it. And like another person was like, here's some money to put your insane idea on the screen. And I love movies like that. Whether they're good or bad, I do like when director has just like a fucking bonkers vision and goes for it. And maybe if, I think maybe if she was obsessed with someone else, someone that wasn't Morrissey, I probably would have actually enjoyed this film more. Because again, it is kind of bonkers. Like, just some of it's kind of crazy. Some of it's just horrible, but even in its horribleness, it's kind of it knows what it's trying to do, I think. And that's always to be kind of a yeah, there's a yawning because I'm falling asleep. So I guess I should just wrap this up. Because this episode, I don't time these episodes as I record them, but this has probably been the fucking longest episode I've recorded, or at least up there. Because it's fucking Morrissey, and I went off on too many tangents about how much I hate Morrissey. And like the insane parts of this film also led me off of all sorts of weird tangents. So velvetowl@hotmail.com or leave a comment in the comment sections. And as always, I love you guys.